Hi there, Bilal here from itvarsity.org again. Now, in the previous lesson, we looked at how you can send information to a function via the parameters. In this lesson, you're going to look at how a function can send back some information. So basically, a function is like a little factory where you can send it some information, it processes that information, and it sends something back to you. Now, in this lesson, we're going to look at function return types in PHP.
In this lesson, we're going to be looking at function return types. Now, what are return types? Now, you remember in the previous lesson, we saw how you can send information to a function. Now, with return types, a function can send information back to you as the coder. Now, we're going to create a third function to demonstrate this. We'll call it display win message with return. And we'll give it our customary double curly braces. Now, why would you want a function to send information back to you? The answer is very simple. You see what we did in here? What we did is whenever we call this function, the function echoes these values. Now, this is bad practice from a programming perspective. It's bad practice because you almost never output anything from inside a function in your PHP code. Where the output happens is in your HTML templates. So the HTML, remember, as per the MVC framework, model view controller, the view does all the view elements. The view does all the outputting and the styling and everything that goes with that. Your PHP code, which is your controller, simply passes information to the view and the view takes it over from there. Now, that's what we're going to do in this function here. Instead of outputting the information directly, we're going to pass this information back to the view, and the view is going to output this information. Now, we're going to simulate a view down here. So basically, I'm going to create a one line that's commented out, and I'm going to call that line view. So you can imagine that this is the view section. It's almost a separate script. It's an HTML script that's calling your PHP. Now, let's get busy with this one. So this function will be almost identical to display win message with name. What we're going to do is we're going to copy everything from inside there and paste it in there. All right. We're also going to copy the two parameters, $username and $score, and paste them in there because we're using them here and here. Now, there's one big change we're going to make, and that is, instead of echoing this information, we're going to put it into a variable. $message is equal to that. So in other words, what PHP is going to do is going to take this entire string, plug in $username, complete the string, and then put the string inside $message. Now we're going to apply the same thing to the next line. In other words, we're going to take this text, the string, and add it to $message. How do we do this? $message dot equals to that. Now the dot equals to is a short form of saying $message is equal to $message dot that. Remember, dot is the string concatenation operator. And finally, $message dot equals to that. Don't forget to remove the echo, otherwise you're going to get some horrible errors there. Okay, so by this point now we've got this entire message stored inside $message. And what we need to do is, at the end of this function, we need to send $message back to the caller, back to which line was calling in. So how do we return the the value of $message to the caller? Simple. We use the return keyword. So what's happening here? After $message is compiled with all this information, we're sending it back to the caller. Now in our view, let's call this function. This one is display win message with return. Hit enter, pass it two parameters, the name and the score, and semicolon. Okay, looking good. Our code looks fine, and we're calling this function just as we would call any other function. Awesome. By the way, I've commented out these two lines so that they're not called, so we don't get clutter on our output. Let's go and refresh the browser. Whoa, why isn't anything displaying? Now the reason nothing is displaying is because there is no output of this message. Think about it. Here we're simply compiling this message, and here we're returning it, but there's no output. There's nothing echoing this message anywhere. It's not being echoed there, neither is it being echoed here. So what do? Simple. We echo it right here. Now what's going to happen here? What's going to happen is simple. When we call this echo, the echo is going to in turn call display win message with return and pass it these two parameters. The parameters will land there. They get plugged in there. This message will be compiled and the message will be sent back. And what actually will be echoed will be the contents of $message, which will be this entire string here. Let's see if this works. Save, refresh, boom, there we go. The message is displaying as expected. Let's call this function yet again. With return, let's call Sally again, give her a score, save that and refresh, and there we go. So Sally has a score of 99, Tim has a score of 89. So now you've learned three very important things about functions. You've learned about simple functions with no parameters and no return type. Then you've learned about a function with parameters but no return type. And finally, you've learned about a fully loaded function. Well, that's just my term for it, with a set of parameters as well as a return type. And you also learned how to call each one of these functions. Now you're in a position to start creating some really amazing PHP applications.